Letters written by the mother of the Beatles George Harrison suggest she was disgusted by some of their fans. In a series of letters put up for sale, Lucy Harrison wrote about how ashamed she was to be female after watching screaming fans at a concert in 1963.
A deafening din. Fans screaming themselves into hysteria, making it impossible to hear their heroes' music. At the time, the so-called menace of Beatlemania horrified certain quarters of the media, and it would seem also George Harrison's mum, who, in a letter to one fan back in 1963, wrote,
"Last Wednesday I went to Manchester and I was really disgusted at the way the so-called fans just screamed right through the whole of the Beatles act. Nobody with any sense would pay and queue for a ticket just to stand on a seat and scream and not hear one sound from the stage. I was really ashamed I was a female."
That must have been the first time she'd encountered that. You know, before then she'd been to see them, she'd loved them, there wasn't too much screaming or any at all. And this time it was just solid wall of noise. And that's probably got to be a shock for any mum. You know, all these girls screaming at your son and their mates.
25 letters between the guitarist's mum and teenager Janet Gray are set to go under the hammer at the Liverpool Beatles memorabilia auction. While both Paul and John's mothers died, never witnessing their musical son's band become the biggest on the planet, George's mum was very hands-on, diligently replying to fans with words of wisdom such as,
"Now, Janet, I hope you will try and remember that your mum is your best friend, even if you don't see eye to eye on some issues."
The fact that George was just that little bit younger, and the fact his mum was so supportive and so there and writing letters and handling all the girls that would come knocking on the door looking for George, I think really just added to that perception of George as being the baby of the group a bit.
With the passing of time, the generational divisiveness of Beatlemania can today sometimes be forgotten. The letters, a wonderfully human response to a revolutionary cultural moment. Katie Spencer, Sky News.